genuinely you. Discover the power of enlightened leadership. Do you find your personal time overtaken by doing or thinking about work? Have you ever been on the receiving end of a line manager or boss who behaves without thought or integrity? How did that feel? Are you managing a team who constantly bring you problems, who want you to reassure them all the time? How does that make you feel, and what impact does that have on your workload? Do you ever feel that there should be more to life? Is this it? Ever feel uncomfortable that things around you simply don't fit? The quality of leadership at every level is, I believe, a huge contributory factor to the mental ill health and unhappiness of large numbers of people. The personal, professional and societal costs are huge and increasing. It's time to create a movement of leadership which comes from a place of confidence, not ego. Leadership with integrity, compassion and the courage to do what's right rather than what's expedient. For leaders to have a well-defined sense of purpose and the desire to make a positive impact and create a living and lasting legacy in their lives and the lives of others. All too often, we see short-term profit is given the highest status, no matter how damaging it is. It's a flawed approach, which is entirely unsustainable. Life, personally and professionally, can be incredibly challenging, but it doesn't have to feel that way. I understand from personal experience only too well how life can throw you one curved ball after another, and that it can feel overwhelming. However, even in the darkest moment, there's a potential gift, if you look for it. I'm Gina Gardiner. I'm a multiple #1 best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment coach, founder of the Thrive Together tribe, and creator of the Enlightened Leadership Program. But my journey hasn't been an easy one. I became the youngest deputy head teacher or deputy principal of the largest school in the district, aged 29 in September 1982. I had a serious ski accident in February 1983 when I fell between 150 and 200 feet down a black run when the mogul I was sitting on gave way, so I wasn't technically skiing at the time. I became the principal or head teacher of the school 7 months later when the head suddenly died in his sleep during the summer holiday. I ran the school for 21 years, mostly from a wheelchair. Necessity is the mother of invention. The greatest gift of my disability was the creation of a very different approach to helping people step into their genuine power. This facilitated a unique and highly effective leadership program based on mutual respect and people taking radical responsibility for their own performance and a shared responsibility for the success of the school. That the strategies were successful and that the success was sustained was demonstrated as the school won several accolades, including being on Her Majesty's Inspectorate, or HMI, Best 100 Schools in England list, not once but twice during my tenure. We also became one of the first 75 schools nationally to be awarded Beacon School status. As a result, I worked with a large number of heads, or principals, teachers and governors, and with whole schools, helping them develop their own leadership program and to improve standards of performance and leadership. I also undertook a range of roles to bring an income into the school, our budget was really bad, and to ensure we remained at cutting edge. These included being an advisor for the government, an Ofsted inspector, a trainer facilitator for the National College of Leadership and for the London Institute. Work provided great physical control, pain control. I became good at switching my body off whilst I was working, but the long hours were taking their toll. I left being a principal in 2004 because my health was deteriorating, but I wasn't ready to sit at home and watch daytime TV. I created and completed a research project across a wide range of industries to determine if the challenges we'd experienced in education were the same in business. They were. I published my first 2 books, Manage Your Staff More Effectively and Kickstart Your Career, to give me the credibility in the business world. I expanded my coaching skills and I became an NLP master practitioner and coach. In 2006, I had an experience which was to shift my thinking and expand my horizons exponentially. I was attending a Tony Robbins course at the Excel Centre in London, Unleash the Power Within, or UPW. There were 10,000 people at the event. During the first morning, Tony had talked about another program he was running in California a few weeks later. I was really drawn to the program. However, I immediately dismissed it. How on earth would I cope on my own, travelling and on the course? I'd no travel electric wheelchair in those days, and I found it difficult to self-propel any distance. An integral part of UPW was the fire walk, and for those who are unfamiliar with the concept of a fire walk, you walk between 25 and 30 feet over hot coals in your bare feet. If you're in the right mindset, you can complete the walk without being burnt. It's definitely something you should only do with an experienced organisation. I was thrilled to achieve the walk with someone supporting me on each side. As I sat back in my wheelchair, the next guy to walk, a double amputee with no legs below the knee, tipped himself out of his wheelchair into a handstand, and he completed the fire walk on his hands. It was a pivotal moment for me. If he could do that, what more could I do? I realised I was self-limiting. That evening I booked a flight to California and my ticket to the programme. And since then I became a senior leader for Tony Robbins, and I've travelled widely to study, speak and work and for pleasure. I've no idea who that guy was, but I'm forever in his debt. The expertise and experience developed personally during my headship through study and working with significant numbers of clients over the years are at the heart of the work I do now with individuals, couples, teams and whole organisations. My strategies and principles are tried and tested and easy to incorporate into daily life. I believe that disability is a metaphor for life. Limiting beliefs, I'm not worthy, not clever enough, I'm too old, too poor, not beautiful enough, etc., etc., keep people stuck. Now, I may have challenges with my mobility, but I do have the capacity to wheel away, usually at high speed, in my wheelchair. I've learnt that it's not the challenges which define us, but what we do with them. Focusing on what I can do rather than what I can't, and challenging those beliefs which have the capacity to limit me has made a tremendous difference to the quality of my life and those I work with. And there have been times if I had stayed at home, I wouldn't have been able to make a cup of tea unless somebody had filled the kettle and put a cup out. But I decided to go into work and run my school. Since leaving headship, I experienced a growing sense of unease. I recognised that I was not fulfilling my true purpose. I found it increasingly difficult to ignore the growing tide of people who are stressed, unhappy, lonely, sabotaging their relationships and professional success through fear. The drive to use my experience and expertise to help more people became impossible to ignore. So I created Genuinely You. The final piece of the jigsaw puzzle, so far, and the culmination of 30+ years experience in transformational leadership is my Enlightened leadership program. It's a unique, holistic leadership program which has been accredited by CPD, the Continuous Professional Development Standards Office. The Enlightened leadership program is designed to create lasting, positive change, something that statistics prove not to be the case with most other leadership programs. Research shows that the impact of leadership courses are often short-lived as people revert to their default behaviours. The course becomes an expensive tick box exercise, and the process acts like a plaster on a sore rather than creating fundamental and lasting change and improvement in the quality of leadership. Illuminating the awareness for understanding how poor quality leadership is incredibly costly to the individual, to their families, the organisation and society as a whole is the foundation for great change. A lack of good leadership is commonly identified as one of the main contributory causes of stress. Enlightened leadership is built on the premise that to lead others well, you first need to transform into the best version of yourself and lead from a place of wholeness. It's leadership based on integrity, compassion, and the courage to do what's right rather than what's expedient. I think leaders have an incredibly important role to play in transforming the quality of life for themselves and for others. There's a deeper meaning to our overall purpose and reason for existing. This expands far beyond the approaches that are being taught in the traditional paradigms, or even some of the most leading-edge programs and trainings. Enlightenment, personal mastery and leadership refinement are the core components required for creating a new landscape for leadership. Developing one's awareness is vital to making shifts in these dynamics even before starting to take action towards change. Without awareness of the impact of our language and behaviours on others and the wide-ranging disadvantages of poor leadership, change is unlikely to happen. Empowered leaders work smarter, think strategically, act with integrity, and fully develop their intuition and sense of connection. They use their greater consciousness to identify and support the development of the potential of others within their work and in their personal lives. Doing so leads to highly motivated and engaged people who see themselves as part of the solution. The Genuinely You Enlightened Leadership Programme is intensive, but it works. Participants explore their personal and spiritual development and are given all the tools and support to help them develop as enlightened leaders who lead from the heart. I think of it as the Iron Man or Woman Leadership Programme. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's designed for those who are prepared to do the inner work in order to lead with passion, integrity, compassion and purpose. It's for those who want to create a positive living legacy. To find out more, go to the website enlightenedleadership.co. Thanks for listening.